Hello everybody, Andy here again, down on the beach as you can see. Lovely day. I'm actually on holiday for this week and I thought I'd come down. If I pan around here you get the sun in your eyes very shortly. But the tide's out as you can see. It's a lovely day. It's a bit cold, but one of those lovely autumn days. And I'm pretty much alone apart from a few dog walkers down on the beach, so I thought I'd come around here and maybe do a little bit of talking, as I'm wont to do. See, so sunny I've got to wear my sunglasses, which is a novelty in itself in the winter time or the autumn time, middle of November here. Anyway, the topic I wanted to talk about today, and it's quite topical actually, it's about apologies. As you might have seen, the title of the video is called All Apologies. I'd like to put sort of song titles, as you might have guessed, some of the more observant of you out there. But that whole idea of apologising for things, usually by governments, and usually years and years, decades, centuries after the particular events have happened. And at the moment I've just done that video about poppies, and it's now the 9th of November, getting closer to the 11th of November, sort of Remembrance Day here, the anniversary of the signing of the armistice in the First World War in 1918. And we've had that type of thing here with posthumous pardons and all those examples that you can probably think of things that have happened in the past, and governments now feel that they need to apologise for them when they had no bearing themselves, weren't alive, even their fathers or their forefathers weren't alive when these decisions were made about slavery, for example. The civil rights movement, equal opportunity, should we say, equality, whether it be colour, religion, creed, you know, sexuality and that type of thing. The sexuality one obviously is a fairly more recent one. But the right to vote, for example, in this country, or the right to vote for women, you can think of loads of examples where governments now feel obliged to actually apologise for these wrongs that people did in the past. Now, in my opinion, it's great. The apologies are all very well, and I'm sure they're heartfelt, etc. as well. And I'm a normal person, that I like to think that I think in a normal sort of fashion, and I think that all of these, the slavery, everything like that, the equal opportunities, the civil rights and everything should be God-given rights. You know, we should know, as I think the US Constitution says, we hold these truths to be self-evident. To me, it's a no-brainer, as we say. These things should never have happened in the first place, but they did, and the people who carried these things out, the unpalatable truth is that they felt that they were doing the right thing for whatever reason, whether it be slavery or whether it be some sort of genocide or something like that. They did it for a reason, a total intolerable as far as I'm concerned, but they did it for a reason. Yes. So why now should we, as our government, should we say, not us particularly, but why should our governments be apologising for these past wrongs? Now, this is quite a contentious issue, I know, because I'm sure there's lots of people out there who are sort of foaming at the bit, saying, well, that's wrong, slavery should never have happened, etc. Of course it should never have happened, that's what I'm saying. These things should never have happened. But these things were done in the spirit of the time, should we say, or by people with ulterior motives who were wrong, totally wrong even at the time, even in the spirit of the times. They were doing things that were unpalatable then, but they still did them. They are the people, the perpetrators are the people that should not be carrying out these things in the first place. We, as the holders of the legacy, or whatever you want to call it, are now completely out of touch with that. We didn't have any influence on those decisions that were made, in our name I suppose, but not in my name because I wasn't there. But you get the general drift of what I'm talking about. So I'm a little bit uneasy about these, because after all, it's an apology really. We can all think of things that we're guilty of. We've all done things in the past that we are guilty of, and we know that as an individual. We can think, and the individual is the one that needs to feel that guilt. The individual is the person who needs to make that apology. I'm not sure how a nation, a government, a community or something can actually have collective guilt in some ways, you know, truthfully have collective guilt. Yes, we can all I feel sorry for all those people who've died in the name of slavery, the right to vote and etc., everything that I mentioned before. But I didn't have any bearing on those type of things. I read the history books, and I'm appalled by all the things that happened. I like to read about that type of thing to find out exactly what did go on, and in some ways it makes you a bit ashamed of some of the countries that we live in, that some of the things that were done in our name all those years ago. I'd like to think that those things could never happen again, and if anything, that's the lesson now, is that we should not let those things happen again. The best thing, aside from apologising to these people who died a long time ago, the best thing that we can do in their memory is actually not to let these things happen again, whether it be some form of slavery, and it's still going on now in certain ways. We should not be letting that happen. We can still see the trouble with equal opportunities now across the world. It's still happening. As I said, domestic slavery, whatever you want to call it, genocide, ethnic cleansing is still happening in certain parts of the world. What we should be doing, instead of apologising for what's happened, the wrongs of the past, is actually sorting out the wrongs of the present. Sorting that out, get onto your governments, have a moan about all the type of things that they're doing. We can all think of examples, I can think of examples, more recent examples. For example, the conflict in Bosnia that happened in the early 90s, and where European governments certainly, and maybe some others, were culpable in some of the horrific ethnic cleansing that went on there. And that's the sort of thing that we should be apologising for, because that happened in our lifetimes. If somebody's still alive, if it still affects that particular person or their immediate relatives, we should damn well be apologising for that, because we had something to do with it. But when it's hundreds of years ago, when you think of the abolition of slavery in the UK, it happened well over 100 years ago, and it's the same in the US as well. And as I said, women's rights over here, the right to vote, I mean, we should be apologising for the death of Emily Davidson, who felt she needed to throw herself in front of the King's horse in a horse race. That was in the early 1900s. I don't know. Mate, that's what I'd like to know. You know, it's a topic that annoys me at times. I understand, as I said before, the reason for the apologies, but are they really as heartfelt as they need to be? An apology is far more heartfelt if it's from an individual, I believe, than from a politician that you might not have a great deal of respect for. And to me, it's paying lip service, and I think it's doing a disservice sometimes to the people that they are supposedly apologising about or apologising for. So, your thoughts? Yes, this could be a contentious issue, but I'd love to know what you think. Maybe I should do some more contentious ones and get some video responses or whatever. I'd love to know your thoughts on this from whatever community you come from. Maybe you can think of your own examples as well. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there and enjoy the sunshine on the beach. Thanks for your time. I shall speak to you again soon. Goodbye.